My beloved wife cheated on me and my daughter isn't mine. How can I move forward as well as shake angry feelings? It would be one thing to cheat, but to find out the light of my life isn't even to related to me killed me. Don't get me wrong, I love my daughter with all of my heart. She's still my daughter no matter what. But what's scaring me most is my seemingly vindictive desires. I've never been like this, and I know it's out of anger, but I want her to suffer so bad. The kids absolutely hate her. Which on one end helps that desire, but I know that deep down, she is still their mother, and I don't really want them to hate her. Her parents and siblings all are mortified at her. Her sister hasn't spoken to her in a couple months. We all grew up together, so it hit hard for everyone. Again, this makes me feel great, which in turn scares me, because I don't actually want her life to go into shambles. But I can't help feel euphoric when I learn something in her life is falling apart. Both children are living with me, as they don't view their mother in a favorable light at all right now. I'm thinking about having the talk about them going to talk to her, because as of now, they refuse. The part that breaks my heart the most is that my daughter seems to be overcompensating her roles of a daughter. She makes sure to tell me how much she loves me, and is, in essence, being the perfect daughter. But I can tell it's because she knows that she isn't biologically mine, but she desperately wants me to know how much she values me. I'm actually going to talk to her tonight about that. To tell her that she doesn't have to act differently. I just really want to know how to shake the sadness and angry, vindictive feelings. I want to move forward as well as help my children move forward so they can worry about school and being teens. Please, any advice will help. Update. For some clarification, we did talk about it, and it was in the fair. I just didn't want to write that part out because it physically makes me shake with anger to talk about it. My daughter and I are both in therapy. I am taking the advice of my therapist and the many commenters on my last post, and I'm not going to force my kids to talk to their mother. They are old enough to understand the gravity of the situation and have their own feelings about it. Because of this, they will need to take their own time gathering up how they feel and dealing with it, with any help they need from me, of course. The pain my daughter is going through seems to have healed somewhat. I've gotten her to fully believe that my love for her will never change and that she will always be my daughter. Her pain seems not to be about our relationship anymore, but her newly found trust issues and trauma from the family being broken apart. She's also confided in me that she feels like it's all her fault, and that if she never brought the kid home, the family would still be together. I hugged her and let her know that none of this was her fault, and that she was only looking to do something fun with the family. She had no idea what would happen and that she should never blame herself. I've had one conversation with my STBXW, in which she begged and pleaded with me to forgive her and that she would cherish me for the rest of her life. She said it was stupid, it meant nothing, and that she regrets it 100%. She also said that she believes our love can withstand it. I told her that if our love was that strong, she wouldn't have felt the need to find sexual comfort in someone else. She is currently staying with her parents. I've communicated with her sister, and apparently she's borderline suicidal. They are trying to get her help, but she refuses, as the only thing she wants to do is see me and the children. Because of this, I'm waiting to serve her the divorce papers. I don't want to add on any more things to destroy her mental health. I've brought up talking to her with my son and daughter, to which they adamantly refused. I am going to respect their wishes and give them their own time to cope. I have this nagging feeling that she does not actually care about how it made any of us feel, and that she only cares about the fact that she's about to lose her picture-perfect family and the comfortable life that we had, and that it's her fault. I have no desires to try to fix the relationship and move forward. That's all for now. My wife cheated on me and I couldn't be happier. Throwaway account for obvious reasons. Where to begin? I, 26 meters, have been married to my wife, 26F, Lana, fake name obviously, for 8 years now. I met her 16 years ago in elementary school, we started dating in middle school, and slept together for the first time in high school. In our young minds, we thought we were absolutely in love, nothing would tear us apart. I grew up in Georgia as a Baptist, where there's a kind of weird Christian attitude about sexuality and all that. I dunno, I've never really been religious, and neither has my wife. We didn't really care, but my parents did. They always got on my back that if I was having sex with this girl, I had to marry her. Her parents weren't as strict about it, but essentially I was forbidden from seeing her. My parents told me at 17 that I would be kicked out of the house if I didn't marry Lana. Looking back now, I don't think they would have gone through with leaving me on the streets for not breaking up with a girl. I'm pretty sure they were trying to manipulate me into living the life they wanted for me. So, we got a courtroom marriage. Her parents were cool with it, they had 3 kids to a room and were glad to have more space in the house. We always talked about having a real wedding one day, but with everything going on in life, we just never got around to it. I got to be married at 18 to the love of my life and still got to finish high school and live with my parents. Since then, I've gotten a lot of therapy. I've realized just how horrible it was for my parents, religious or not, to force their own child to get married so that he wouldn't disappoint Jesus by having sex with one person. It's not like I was even trying to follow any of their other standards. Let's fast forward to the present day. A few years later we moved out into our own dingy little apartment. I got a job apprenticing to a plumber to pay rent, but neither me or Lana could afford school, and my dad was only willing to pay if I went to a church college or something. I've considered it many times, but it's whatever. Eventually, I kind of just stopped loving Lana. It's not that she stopped being physically attractive to me or anything, it's just that over the years she did basically nothing. She never got a job, she never did work around the house. Most days she would just play video games, smoke weed with me, and then we'd pass out or have sex. She didn't cook, didn't clean, hell I even had to do the laundry after work at midnight some nights, just so I'd have something to wear in the morning. I felt trapped. I wanted to divorce her, so badly. I talked to her about changing, so many times that I feel like I had the same conversation over and over and over. She'd get a job and quit after a month. She'd cook 3 meals in an entire week and then stop for months. These aren't things you find out about a woman in high school. So we started to get a little distant. Sex reduced to once a month if that. We didn't even hang out most nights. When I'd come home, she'd be sleeping or way too baked to hold a decent conversation with. In the morning she would go to Starbucks for a coffee and some other baked goods. Sometimes she'd get something for me, sometimes not. Why didn't I divorce her? Well, honestly, it was just about alimony. I could barely afford to pay rent as it is, but divorcing her I know she'd get some kind of share of the money I already have an issue keeping. With everything about my parents, I wasn't willing to move in with them, so I just felt trapped where I was. I know of too many stories where people will get a divorce and have to pay alimony for the rest of their lives, and that just seems like too much for me to handle. One day while out on the job, I had a panic attack because of everything going on and decided to go home early. I live 5 minutes away from where I was working. I texted Lana on the way home that I would be there soon. Lana answered the door in her lingerie, nearly out of breath. Well, that was suspicious already, but there was no one in the apartment so I didn't think anything of it immediately. Thought maybe she was having some alone time and the lingerie helped her get in the mood or something. But that night it ate at me. I didn't voice any concerns to her, I just let it eat away at me. The next morning I called in sick without telling Lana, drove off, and snuck back to our apartment complex. I watched our apartment until I saw a Jeep roll up and a man walked out. He walked up to our first floor apartment, and Lana opened the door and let him in. This wasn't a man I'd ever seen before, but I knew what was going on. I went into my apartment, burst into the bedroom to see them already naked with each other, and took some photos. Ignoring her cries, I packed up a bag with any clothes I could find, and I left. Why am I happy about this? I live in Georgia, where adultery is considered a crime. No alimony for cheaters. I felt like I had the entire world ahead of me as I drove away. I know I need a lawyer, I know I need to cover my tracks, and all of that. She doesn't use Reddit so she won't see this, but man. Sometimes it's good to be cheated on.